Hello, I'm Lloyd Spencer Davis, and I'm the author of a new book called Looking for Darwin. And as you might guess, it's about Charles Darwin and his theory of evolution, which supposedly tells us all about how we got here and how all these animals in a place like this got here. But the book is actually much more than just a book about Charles. It's a book about my own personal journey, my attempt to understand why we're all here. And it's really a question that I think we all ask, but we unfortunately don't spend much time actually trying to find the answer. And I guess my journey began when I was a 12-year-old and I was going to be confirmed in the High Anglican Church. And just as I was waiting for my final class, the vicar came in and he was completely sozzled on wine and he fell over the pew. And it was at that point a little light switch went off in my 12-year-old head, which sort of said, well, this can't be right. And I suppose reasonably now, with the benefit of hindsight, I should have probably shot the messenger. I should have probably blamed the vicar. But for me, it was a message about the church itself and about God. And I started to think, well, what could be the alternatives? And it seemed that Charles Darwin and evolution maybe offered the alternatives. So I took a career in zoology and I studied how to be a good biologist, and I went to the Antarctic and did research on animals like penguins. And it was really when I was in the Antarctic and I was out there by myself and this huge penguin came along, a penguin that I don't normally work with, an emperor penguin. And I started to think, this penguin is just like the sparrow I left in my garden back in Dunedin. It has the same blood vessels, the same feathers, it lays the same eggs. And just while I was thinking of that, there was a huge prosh, and out of the water came a big leopard seal. And even as I was scared looking at this leopard seal, I couldn't fail to notice that it was essentially like a bear, any one of the bears that I just walked past in the cabinets there. And I had to think, well, if there was a God, if there was an intelligent designer, why, when he was designing animals for the Antarctic, would he make a modified sparrow or a modified bear? Why wouldn't he make something that was specific just to the Antarctic? And that troubled me. And so when I got back to New Zealand, I started thinking, well, how am I going to get to the answers? How am I going to find out what it's really all about? And I thought, well, I better go and see what were the things that influenced Darwin. So I went to England. I went to his birthplace. I went to all the places where he could have been influenced. And then further, I went around following Darwin on his voyage of the Beagle, which took 5 years. Of course, I didn't have 5 years to spend like that, and I didn't have a Beagle. But I went to these places sequentially and looked at the same things that Darwin looked. And in fact, more. I went to other places too, like the Burgess Shale in Canada. I went to India. I went to Africa. But always with an eye to look at them like Darwin would have looked at them. And in the end, I was left thinking, can you best explain the world around us by God, by some intelligent designer? Or had what I discovered about Charles Darwin and his theory, was that satisfactory to tell me why we're really here? Now, it's something that you have to read the book to find the answer to, but I hope it's an answer that we all enjoy.